Hello listeners, and welcome to this week's recording of Boomerang. Team 3 is here. My name is Jim, and your other readers are...
Nan.
Ray.
Caroline.
Andrew's our engineer tonight and will be doing the recording, and Ray will be doing the copying and distribution. The news this week again is taken with permission from the West Lothian Courier, dated Thursday the 23rd of January, and we are recording this on the 23rd of January. Any anecdotes have been taken from the Reader's Digest, again with permission. As usual, the recording this week has been divided into 4 sections, and can I remind you right from the start that when you have listened to the whole recording, please post your wallet back to us from a post box and not from the post office. We will start the first section with some general news.
Dad and 6-year-old daughter found dead inside house. Community devastated as tragedy unfolds on doorstep. Extensive inquiries are ongoing into the deaths of a 36-year-old dad and his 6-year-old daughter in West Calder. Mark, Gordon and young Hope were discovered within a property on the West Lothian town's Harburn Drive on Monday. The deaths are being treated as unexplained and post-mortem examinations will take place in due course. A team of officers from Police Scotland's major investigation team, plus the local division, are involved in the investigation. Inquiries are ongoing to establish the full circumstances, and at this time there is nothing to suggest anyone else has been involved. Detective Chief Inspector Bob Williamson of the Major Investigation Team said, "Our thoughts remain with the man and girl's relatives at this extremely difficult time, and they continue to be supported by specialist officers. They are understandably devastated, and it is vital we get answers for them. At this time, we have no information to suggest anyone else is involved, and our inquiries are continuing. I would ask that anyone with any information, no matter how small or insignificant you think it is, get in touch with officers. There will continue to be a significant police presence in the area while the investigation is ongoing. This includes uniformed and plain-clothed officers from the local division and the major investigation team. Chief Inspector Elaine MacArthur Kerr, local area commander, said, "We understand the significant impact this will have on the local community, and I would like to thank everyone for their help so far. This incident is very upsetting and worrying for the people living in this community, and I would ask anyone with any concerns to speak to us. A police presence will remain in the area while we carry out investigations, and anyone with any concerns or information can approach these officers. Local residents have been left understandably shaken by the events. Marilyn Williamson has lived in the area for 50 years. She said, "It happened so close to home, and I think it will always be something which sticks with us in the future. It won't go away, and there will always be a community trauma." My mum was beside herself last night. When she walked up the stairs to go to bed, she was tapping the pictures of our family on the wall. As a whole community, we are shocked. There are a lot of young families, and there are a lot of them who must have had to pass all those police and cordon. Meanwhile, West Lothian Council Schools Chief has moved to reassure parents and pupils the tragic death of 6-year-old Hope is not connected to the nearby Parkhead Primary School. A West Lothian Council spokesperson said, "We'd urge anyone with any information to contact Police Scotland to assist with their inquiries." Other than its proximity to the reported incident, we have reassured parents and pupils that this incident has no connection to Parkhead Primary School. Our school remains open as normal. East Calder councillor Damien Doran-Thompson added, "It is awful news to hear of this. My thoughts are with the family and friends of the deceased at this time." Father Martin at Our Lady and St Bridget's Catholic Church said, "For a small community, this is unusual to hear of such a tragic accident. On behalf of our parish, we offer condolences and sympathy and are happy to offer any kind of support to the family. We are a listening ear. If there is just a need to chat, we can offer some consolation. To the wider community who might be impacted by the passing," Father Martin added, "As a church, we offer weekend prayers. We are happy to help in any way we can."
Car crashes into family home in dead of night. A Bathgate couple are calling for action before there's a fatality after a car crashed into their house in the middle of the night. Lana and John MacDonald were asleep in their bed in the early hours of last Saturday morning when a red Vauxhall Astra ploughed through their neighbour's fence and smashed into the front of their home in Kirk Road. Lana, 54, said, "It was 1 a.m. on the Saturday morning. We heard an almighty bang, and at first I thought it was a mirror that had just fell down in our hall as we've just decorated." John ran to the front door and shouted that someone had crashed into the driveway. The driver had lost control and went right through the neighbour's fence, bent the metal handrail and through a wrought iron railing that divides our house from theirs. It looks as if the car has taken off, as there's a drop into the garden next door. He got out of the car and walked away, and our neighbours ran out and got the guy. The police were there within 10 minutes. It was a real shock, but we were thankful our 3-year-old grandson wasn't staying, as he would have been sleeping in that front room and would have got the fright of his life. We have 2 dogs, and one sleeps at the front door, and there's a hole at the side facing where one of the wrought iron railings had come off like a spear and shot through. The police said it was lucky it never came through the window and hit the dog. There are a lot of what-ifs. We've been crying out for speed bumps for years, and they keep telling us there's not enough accidents. I've asked if there has to be a fatality first. A lot of people are coming back from the pub at that time in the morning. My uncle lives a couple of doors down and normally comes home from the bowling club at that time, but he's had a knee operation, so thankfully he wasn't out. Lana continued, "Where he's hit our house, there is structural damage, and we're waiting on the insurance assessors coming out to see that. The council came out to put supports up and make sure nothing falls down. He's hit the wall and the car slid right into my husband's car and damaged that, and it looks as if he's landed in a parking space." And it's not just pedestrians who were fortunate in Lana's opinion, as the impact with John's car prevented the vehicle from travelling any further following the impact. We're lucky we've built a driveway there, as there used to be a big drop there, like the neighbours, and the car would have probably went down there and probably caused more damage. We've had more than a few accidents here. This is the first time our house has been hit, but we've been here 27 years come May, and every single year there's been accidents, either right outside our house or either side of it. It's happened in a neighbour's driveway and on the road. Our house sits right on a bend. A West Lothian Council spokesperson said, "We're unable to comment on this individual incident as we do not know the actual confirmed details. We can confirm that West Lothian Council has an annual casualty reduction programme, and if this incident has been recorded at site by Police Scotland, then we will receive the official recorded data from the police, which will be assessed in a future casualty reduction programme." A Police Scotland spokesperson said,
Around 1 a.m. on Saturday, the 11th of January 2025, we were called to a report of a car crashing into a property in the Kirk Road area of Bathgate. Officers attended and there were no injuries. A 40-year-old man was arrested and charged in connection with a road traffic offence. He's due to appear in court at a later date.
MSP Briggs hits out at horrifying A&E waits. Lothian Conservative list MSP Miles Briggs has accused the Scottish Government of presiding over horrifying A&E waiting times. Mr Briggs' remarks come after monthly A&E waiting times for November showed that only 58.5% of patients across Lothian were seen within the government's 4-hour target waiting time. The list MSP says these waits are unacceptable and undoubtedly put lives at risk, and insists that the SNP have failed to give dedicated staff the resources they need to see patients quickly enough. He said A&E waiting times in Lothian are absolutely horrifying, and this is mirrored across Scotland. Far too many patients are waiting too long to be seen in Lothian, and that undoubtedly puts lives at risk. These waits are unacceptable, and successive SNP health secretaries have left Lothian and the rest of Scotland without the resources to meet the demands of the patients turning up in A&E. My constituents in Lothian are at even greater risk than other Scots, and the buck stops within the SNP government. Health Secretary Neil Gray said he is determined to drive improvements after he met health board leaders alongside the First Minister on Monday evening. Mr Gray said high levels of flu cases continue to put pressure on the NHS. He said our A&E departments are still facing peak winter pressure, and this has been exacerbated by higher than normal levels of influenza. NHS staff are working hard to ensure patients are seen as quickly as possible, but we know some people are waiting too long, and we are determined to drive improvements. Last night, I, along with the First Minister, held a further meeting with health boards and key stakeholders to assess system pressures and discuss ongoing work to minimise delays for patients. I thank the public for continuing to do their part in observing the advice on the best way to access services. It is vital people only attend A&E in a genuine emergency.
Angela blasts WASPy decision. Amman Valley MSP Angela Constance has condemned the UK government for breaking its promise to compensate WASPy women, as figures reveal that 10,070 women in West Lothian may have lost out on pension payments. The women, born in the 1950s, were affected by changes to the state pension age and were not properly informed by the Department for Work and Pension. Across Scotland, it is estimated that 355,910 women have been impacted. Following their electoral victory in July last year, the UK Labour government has reversed its pledge to compensate these women. Angela Constance, MSP, said the Labour government's betrayal of the WASPy women is utterly shameful. As many as 10,070 women across West Lothian have lost out because of a UK government mistake, and many have campaigned tirelessly for decades to have this injustice recognised. For the Labour Party, after just months in power, to break its promise to compensate these women is not only wrong, but an enormous breach of trust. The Scottish Government will continue to stand alongside the WASPy women in their fight for the compensation they deserve. I urge the Labour Government to reconsider and do the right thing. The UK government announced in December that it would ignore the recommendation from the UK Parliamentary and Health Service Ombudsman to deliver compensation for WASPI women. Labour's Work and Pensions Secretary Liz Kendall told the UK Parliament that the government does not believe paying a flat rate to all women at a cost of up to $10.5 billion would be fair or proportionate to taxpayers. 9 months earlier, the PHSO had recommended compensation of between £10,000 and £2,950 to those affected.
Livingston MP Gregor Poynton's new constituency office has been officially opened. Scottish Labour Party Deputy Leader Jackie Baillie, MSP, joined Mr Poynton and Manuela Coletti, manager of Craig's Farm, for the official opening. The office, located at the heart of the community in Craig's Farm, has been operational since October 2024 and is already providing vital support to constituents across the Livingston area. Mr Poynton said, "This office is more than just a workspace. It's a hub where my team and I can engage directly with the people of Livingston, addressing their concerns and delivering the support they need. I'm incredibly proud to be based at Craig's Farm, a cornerstone of our community that has been serving Craigshill for decades." Deputy Leader of the Scottish Labour Party, Jackie Baillie, MSP, added, "It is an honour to officially open Gregor's constituency office at Craig's Farm. His commitment to his constituents is evident, and this new base will undoubtedly enhance the vital work he and his team do for the people of the Livingston constituency." Manuela Coletti, manager of Craig's Farm, also shared her thoughts. 2025 marks 55 years of Craig's Farm, serving the Craigshill and wider community of West Lothian, she said. As the lead organisation for wellbeing locally, we work alongside NHS wellbeing hubs and GP surgeries to provide mental wellbeing support and linkage to community services that address the stressors of mental health. Our services are provided free to the local community, allowing those who typically cannot afford wellbeing services to receive the support they require. We are delighted to welcome Gregor and his team to Craig's Farm, where they can work directly with the community from this important space. Guests at the opening enjoyed tea, coffee and light refreshments, while networking with Gregor, Jackie and Manuela, discussing how the office will serve as a key resource for the Livingston constituency. The office is open Monday to Friday and welcomes walk-ins. However, constituents are encouraged to make an appointment by emailing gregor.poynton.mp@parliament.uk or calling the office on 01506 243 507 to ensure their concerns can be addressed efficiently.
Charity urges locals to get a brew. Leading health charity Chest, Heart and Stroke Scotland is asking people across West Lothian to put their kettle on and get their brew crew together to support the 1 in 5 Scots living with chest, heart and stroke conditions and long COVID. The charity this week launched its Tartan Tea Party fundraiser that will see hundreds of tea parties pop up across the country on May the 21st, International Tea Day, to raise much-needed funds for people living with the conditions it supports. The launch of the event is being supported by Scottish baker, author, GP and Great British Bake Off finalist Dr. James Morton, who has put together a special recipe for the fundraiser and took time for a cup of tea with stroke survivor Donna Cullinane. Dr. James said, "I'm delighted to join Chest, Heart and Stroke Scotland for the launch of the Tartan Tea Party. This is such a wonderful opportunity to bring people together, to support each other and to be there for those who have been through such hardship. I believe we'll all know someone who has suffered from one of the many conditions that CHSS can help with, and this is our opportunity to talk about it, spread the word about the great work CHSS is doing and why you should support them." Chest, Heart and Stroke Scotland supports people across the country living with its conditions to live their lives to the full. The charity is on hand to provide advice and support through its free advice line service, stroke nurses, online health information, support groups, supported self-management courses and much more. CHSS aims to reach 175,000 people living with its conditions by 2028 through its community healthcare support services. To access free resources to help you organise a Tartan Tea Party, to remember, head to chss.org.uk/tartan-tea-party.
Minority leads to pub banning events in 2025. A West Lothian pub has issued notice to locals after a rise in violent altercations. The Tally-Ho in Winchborough has said a small minority of people could allow locals and families to feel unwelcome. The pub said verbal or physical abuse will not be tolerated and will result in an immediate ban. The pub has also said no events have been planned for this year as they can't take the risk of another violent altercation. Details of the incidents have not been revealed. Posting on Facebook, General Manager Amy O'Malley said, "At the Tally-Ho, we have always labelled and treated it as a family pub. Every single event we put together to give back to the community, ultimately, we want people to enjoy coming into the pub and have a positive experience. Over the last couple of months, the behaviour of some of our guests has made it apparent that little respect is given to the pub and my team. To be crystal clear, verbal or physical abuse of our team and fellow guests will not be tolerated, and any aggressive or violent behaviour will result in an immediate ban. My staff and customer safety is our number one priority, and I will not have the small minority this post is directed at to ruin the reputation of the Tally-Ho or allow the locals and families who choose to come here to feel unwelcome. As a result of the latest actions of a few people, no events have been planned for 2025, as I can't take the risk of another violent altercation. We will review this later in the year. To those of you who come in every day or week, thank you for your continued support, patience and tolerance. If we can all please work together to make 2025 a great work. The Tally-Ho reopened in 2019 after a £400,000 renovation. It is known for events including a Halloween extravaganza and an annual Star in the Park event.
Cost-cutting proposals are rejected. More than 2/3 of West Lothian community centres have rejected plans to change the way they operate as part of a bid by West Lothian Council to cut costs. In June last year, Council officers proposed that centre management committees take ownership of the venues and run them as businesses, or pay increased fees for their use. But after a consultation which has taken 7 months, more than 20 of 31 community centres have now rejected the proposals. Council officials who are looking to save £1 million had also suggested extending the review to community wings in schools, which could threaten the future of community groups which rely on using those spaces. Councillors have also raised concerns about misinformation being spread online and urged officials to confirm that no centres would be shut under the proposals. West Lothian Council leader Lawrence Fitzpatrick insisted the plans were necessary after 8 years of crippling council tax freezes and insisted they were not looking to close community centres. 8 years of council tax freezes have crippled us and every other council, he said. This update is essential. We are not here to close community centres. We will further engage with management committees to work with them to sustain good operating options. While the majority of the community centres who rejected the council plans offered alternative solutions to the financial problems behind running the community halls, 8 have called for no change. Ralph Bell, Customer and Community Services Manager, told the meeting of the executive that only 2 centre management committees had agreed to take on the ownership of their buildings through community asset transfers. 4 more had chosen the full repair and insurance lease, and 2 had chosen a third option to pay full charges. Management committees of the Lanthorn Centre in Livingston, which has only just reopened, and at Stonyburn, where wrack has been found, asked for a year's extension on the proposals because of their changed circumstances. Conservative group leader Damien Dorn Timpson raised an amendment calling for school community wings to be excluded from the process because there had not been enough time to look at the potential effects on user groups for these buildings. There was acknowledged that social media had played its part in fueling misinformation and rumour around the proposals. Labour councillor Craig Meek said, "There's a lot of scaremongering out there and a lot of mistruths on social media. Just to be clear, the intention of this exercise is not to close any community centre, but to get the best option for all communities. Is that correct?" Mr. Bell replied, "There has been no decision, no talks of any centres or village halls closing. The intention of this engagement and exercise is to try and establish between the council and the management committees a new model of operation that would ensure that facilities remained open. Full implementation of plans is expected to come into effect next April. Mr. Bell stressed that officers will continue to work with management committees to find the best option for each centre. Billy Boyle for the SNP raised an amendment calling for decisions to be delayed. He branded the proposals as something taken off the shelf and short-sighted savings, accusing the council of pulling the rug from under a lot of community organisations the council had asked to take on many tasks. "I find that unpalatable," he added. Both the Conservative and SNP amendments foundered. Councillor Fitzpatrick said, "We have heard the SNP call to drop the whole thing. We have a situation where the council picks up all the bills and management committees keep all the money. And when one speaks to council taxpayers and explains that, they accept that is also completely unacceptable." And that is the end of part 1. We'll have a wee short break and we'll be back with part 2 very shortly. Welcome back to part 2, and start part 2 with the intimations. And they're all deaths. Thomas Tamfriel, peacefully at St John's Hospital on the 15th of January 2025. Thomas, aged 62 years. Beloved dad, grandfather, brother and uncle, sadly missed by all the family. Hutchison George from Broxburn. Peacefully at St John's Hospital on Saturday, 11th of January 2025, George, beloved husband of Jeanette, a much-loved dad and granddad. Russell Liz, known as Betty. Peacefully at Benati View Nursing Home, Dunfermline, on Tuesday the 7th of January 2025, Liz, Betty Russell, aged 92, formerly of Bathgate and Livingston, beloved wife of the late Normal Russell, loving mama and gran, sadly missed by all. Walker Alexander Sandy, Whitburn, peacefully at home on the 10th of January 2025, aged 88 years, much loved and sadly missed by all family and friends. And that's the end of the intimations. We'll go on and do some more news.
Belt Up and Listen to Seatbelt campaign. Road Safety Scotland and Police Scotland have launched a campaign highlighting the devastating consequences of failing to wear a seatbelt, urging drivers and passengers in West Lothian to belt up. Figures show that 21% of those killed on Scotland's roads over a 5-year period were not wearing a seatbelt, and research demonstrates that wearing a seatbelt reduces both fatal and non-fatal injuries in front and back seat passengers. Despite this, 11% of drivers admitted to not always wearing a seatbelt in the front or back of the car, while around 1 in 5 drivers, 18%, said they don't think it's important to wear a seatbelt in the back. Cabinet Secretary for Transport and Linlithgow MSP Fiona Hislop said, "Fastening your seatbelt is one of the simplest actions you can take to protect yourself and others. In a collision, failing to wear a seatbelt can have devastating consequences, not only for the driver and passengers, but for your loved ones. This campaign serves as an essential reminder to anyone travelling in a car. A seatbelt can mean the difference between life and death, and it's not just you who gets hurt. Make it a habit on every journey." The campaign stresses the importance of wearing a seatbelt at all times, regardless of time of day, length of journey, and whether you are driving on busy or quiet roads. It also reminds people that it is a legal requirement to wear a seatbelt while travelling in a taxi or private hire vehicle. Chief Superintendent Hilary Sloan, Head of Road Policing at Police Scotland, said, "Wearing a seatbelt isn't optional, it's the law. Our officers will engage with and educate drivers and passengers on the importance of seatbelts, but we will also continue to take appropriate enforcement action with those caught not wearing a seatbelt, facing a fine up to £500. Drivers should also remember they are legally responsible for ensuring passengers under 14 are using their seatbelts, with fines issued for every child not properly restrained. The evidence is clear. Seatbelts reduce injuries and save lives. Don't take an unnecessary risk. Wear a seatbelt every time you travel." The campaign will run across streaming services, cinema, radio, digital and outdoor channels. For more information, go online.
Marathon man Owen will go on the run to help brave Ella Rose. A Livingston man will be taking on the Edinburgh Half Marathon to raise money for a Craigshill girl who's been diagnosed with a debilitating progressive genetic condition. 8-year-old Ella Rose Kennedy has Friedreich's ataxia, a disorder that causes damage to the nervous system and cerebellum, the part of the brain that deals with voluntary movements. Owen Donoghue, 44, whose son is in Ella Rose's class, is taking on the 13 miles challenge to raise funds that will go directly towards supporting the schoolgirl who attends Howden St Andrews Primary. Owen, a dad of 6 himself, is raising money to help with supplements, specialised therapies, home adaptations and other aids and equipment that the P5 pupil will need as the degenerative disease progresses. 1 in every 50,000 people are affected by Friedreich ataxia, in which nerves in the spinal cord break down, leading to a deficiency of sensory signals to the brain. The condition is caused by an abnormal gene and insufficient levels of a protein named frataxin. Parents are unaffected because they only carry a single pathogenic variant, but those affected by the condition inherit variants from each of their parents. Ella Rose's parents, Michael and Jenny, are pinning their hopes on drugs that are currently being trialled on children, being available in the near future to help their daughter. But current support options are limited, with Owen determined to help out by raising funds to help with whatever he can in the meantime. Owen said, "The family are going to need quite a lot of money as the years go on. I used to go to school with her dad, Michael, and I've kent Ella Rose since she was a bairn, so I've seen her deteriorate. To get that news is devastating. My wife owns a cafe, Devilish Diner, that I work in, and it's just up the road from them." Owen has been pounding the pavements around his home in preparation, but the Edinburgh Run is more than double the distance of his previous challenges. He set a target of raising £4,000 to help Ella Rose. "I do a bit of running and have done 10Ks, but I've never done a half marathon, so this is a big step up," said Owen. "This will be the furthest distance I've ever run, and every step I take will bring us closer to helping Ella Rose lead the fullest life possible. I hadn't done any training over Christmas, and when I tried to go back out, I didn't get very far," Owen admits. "But I'll get there. Normally I do about 5K a couple of times a week. I have a personal trainer, Mel, from local company Foxfit, who's helping me." Owen's taking on the run on Sunday, May the 25th, and has already raised over £640. You can find the online fundraising page and donate at gofundme.com/f/Ella Rose -supporting-her-fight-against-Friedreich's-ataxia.
Mercedes nicked from drive. Police are appealing for the public's assistance after a Mercedes GLC was stolen from a driveway and loaded onto a truck. The white Mercedes GLC 250D 4MATIC SEAUT was stolen from a driveway on Baird Road, Armadale, at around 6 p.m. on Wednesday, January the 8th. The vehicle's registration reads MK16UAV. Initial inquiries suggest the car was stolen via keyless theft and driven onto a white Ford flatbed truck with 2 black stripes on the bonnet. The flatbed, which had no registration plates, was seen in the area shortly after 5 p.m. that same day. 2 men wearing high-vis were also seen in the area around the time of the theft. The flatbed was then driven along Bridgecastle Road and towards Armadale Cross. A Police Scotland spokesperson said, although it was dark, it was still early and the area was busy with traffic. We are asking people to think back. Did you see anything suspicious? If so, please get in touch. We are also urging the public to check private CCTV and dashcam footage to see if anything that can help with our investigation has been captured. Anyone who can assist is asked to contact Police Scotland on 101, quoting incident number 0710 or Thursday, 9th of January 2025.
Dental Desert saga raised by MP. A West Lothian MP has used Prime Minister's question time to demand action on dental deserts. This week at PMQs, Bathgate and Lithgow MP Kirstine Sullivan called on the Prime Minister to tackle the growing problem of dental deserts and ensure local NHS dentistry is accessible to all communities across the UK. Highlighting the situation in Blackburn, Kirstine drew attention to the dedicated dental space in the Blackburn Partnership Centre, which has remained unused since the centre opened in 2018. NHS Lothian has been unable to secure a dental practice to operate from the facility, leaving residents without local access to essential dental care. Kirstine asked the Prime Minister, dental deserts mean that routine dental checkups and treatment are often unavailable in local communities. In my constituency, we have a dedicated space for a dental practice in the Blackburn Partnership Centre since 2018. But NHS Lothian has been unable to secure a dental practice. What steps will the Prime Minister take to work with devolved governments to improve access to local NHS dentists across the UK? In his response, the Prime Minister acknowledged the severity of the issue, citing data showing that a third of Scots struggle to access dental care and a quarter of Scottish children start primary school with tooth decay. Kirstine Sullivan responded to the exchange. She continued, "For years, the people of Blackburn and the surrounding area have been left without access to essential dental services. This is not just a matter of convenience, it's about ensuring routine checkups that can prevent serious health issues and save lives. This problem is not unique to Blackburn too. Many people are left behind by a postcode lottery in dental care."
Committee decide to reject plans. A Bathgate community group has rejected plans which had seen it paying £90,000 a year to stay in rooms it occupies in the town's partnership building. Bathgate Community Centre Management Committee has rejected proposals to lease space because its income is only £15,000 per year. The proposal from West Lothian Council is one facing groups across the county, as management committees have to consider taking leases of or assuming ownership of buildings through asset transfer to save the council £1 million per year. The Bathgate Committee has instead proposed alternatives, including a comprehensive review of the space and a suggestion that a new independent organisation manages community centres in West Lothian. Debbie McGee, Secretary of the committee, said, "The Management Committee expresses its total opposition to the Council's proposal, emphasising that it represents a detrimental step for community well-being and community wealth buildings initiative." While rejecting the £90,000, the committee has said it would be prepared to pay something towards new lease costs, stating, "We would be open to making an annual financial contribution to the council. The amount would depend on our yearly income and our commitment to providing affordable space for volunteer groups, charities and residents, while at the same time making financial grants to community organisations to support their activities. We would also commit to conducting a comprehensive review of our centre's operations. This review will aim to develop an improvement plan that maximises community use while identifying opportunities for cost reduction and increased efficiency and additional income opportunities. Debbie added, "We would also like the Council to seriously consider more radical alternative solutions for community centres, such as transferring their management and associated budgets to an independent organisation. This could take the form of a social enterprise, cooperative, non-profit company or charity. This entity could then employ dedicated staff and implement improvements like modernised booking and invoicing systems, framework repair contracts, and joint insurance arrangements, and apply for a project funding from funding bodies for investment for all participating community centres. The Council could then gradually reduce its budget contribution to the new organisation over a number of years or at the end of the current financial pressures. The Management Committee has written to all councillors requesting they scrap the current council proposals. It is also writing to all Bathgate organisations asking for their backing for their alternative proposals. A review of use of the rooms in the South Bridge Street Partnership building, which also contains the town's library and local council offices, is also underway. Donald Stavert, speaking for the Joint Forum of Community Councils, told the Local Democracy Reporting Service, "We have been worried about this from the start. It has created a year's worth of misery for many involved in community centres who have probably devoted years to volunteering and have not been told they have to take it on professionally. The Joint Forum has been critical about what it calls the dire communication between the Council and communities." Mr. Stavert said, "They should have come to communities and said, 'We have to start a conversation about the future. What are your ideas?' We would have had some. Instead, community centre management committees were presented with a fait accompli. The Council stressed that the January deadline for responses from management committees is simply to respond to proposals. Further negotiations will take place."
Council to sell site for £1.2 million. A former housing site in Winchborough is set to be sold to developer Cruden Homes by West Lothian Council for £1.2 million. The house builder plans to put up new flats in Glendevon Park. Officials told a meeting of the council's executive that it had exhausted its own budget to build council housing on the site, and the sale therefore represented best value. A report stated, "The land on the southern edge of the village forms a cleared site consisting of landscaping, hard standing and parking, having previously been occupied by 2 blocks of flats and lock-up garages, which were demolished approximately 10 years ago." In September 2022, the council executive approved the sale of the land to Almond Housing Association, AHA, for the construction of a social rented housing development, but AHA subsequently withdrew from the agreement. The tenants panel has been consulted on the proposed disposal and raised no objections. The income will be invested in future social housing development. Cruden's offer for the 1.5-acre site is based on a proposed residential development of 49 apartments arranged over 3- and 4-storey blocks. The report added, "The precise tenure and housing mix of the scheme will be confirmed as part of the planning process. Cruden will be required to engage with the Council in its capacity as the Strategic Housing Authority to discuss and agree appropriate statutory affordable housing provisions in relation to this proposed development. SNP councillors Veronica Smith and Willie Boyle raised questions why the site was not being developed for council housing, given the current housing crisis. Boyle asked, "What's the constraint stopping this coming forward as a council-developed site?" Head of Housing, Julie Whitelaw, told the meeting that the council's ability to build new homes relied on grant funding from the Scottish Government, adding, "We have fully utilised that funding."
Mari makes top 50 shortlist for coveted Global Teacher Prize. A Livingston teacher has been shortlisted for a top international gong. Mary Godley, a teacher at St Margaret's Academy, has been included in the top 50 shortlist for the GEMS Education Global Teacher Prize, a Varkey Foundation initiative organised in collaboration with UNESCO. Mary was selected from over 5,000 nominations and applications from 89 countries around the world. Now in its 9th year, the $1 million Global Teacher Prize is the largest prize of its kind. Sunny Varkey, founder of the Global Teacher Prize and chairman of the Varkey Foundation, said, "The Global Teacher Prize was created to spotlight the critical role of education in addressing the major challenges of our time, from combating climate change to reducing inequality and navigating technological change. I congratulate all 50 finalists who are joining a global community of educators leading the way to build a better future." Mary spearheaded a whole school learning for sustainability project, which gained prominence during COP26, where her students presented innovative solutions to environmental issues. Under her leadership, the school's Eco Group achieved Green Flag status, and students participated in international initiatives like the 1.5 Max Climate Change Summit, collaborating with schools from Malawi and Nepal. Mary also facilitated workshops on waste management and climate change. She organised extracurricular activities such as mediation and running clubs to promote mental and physical well-being. She established partnerships with the Polish community, enabling students to earn recognition for their proficiency in Polish through the Languages for Life and Work Award. This initiative culminated in a celebration attended by students and parents of the Polish consulate. She created the Language in Work initiative, connecting students with real-world applications of language skills through collaborations with Visit Scotland and the Whisky Heritage Centre. During the pandemic, she organised virtual work experiences. Her efforts to modernise assessments and integrate digital tools further demonstrate her forward-thinking approach. She currently collaborates with local organisations like West Lothian Litter Pickers and Learn with Leavenseat, involving students in environmental stewardship activities. Her leadership in international projects such as Connecting Classrooms underscores her commitment to preparing students for a globalised world. Stefania Gianni, UNESCO Assistant Director General for Education, said, "UNESCO is proud to support the Global Teacher Prize, which honours the dedication and impact of teachers worldwide. In a time of global teacher shortages, challenging conditions and technological advances, recognising and investing in teachers is essential to building a just, inclusive and sustainable future. Teachers matter as they shape not only the next generation, but the future of our societies." And there's a lovely photograph of a smiling Mary.
Gymnastics will rise from the ashes in West Lothian. Parents and coaches have revealed plans to create a new community-based acro-gymnastics club in West Lothian, following a devastating fire that took hold of their home that led to the club's liquidation. Astro Gymnastics in Livingston was forced to shut down following a fire in December, leaving around 750 gymnasts without a place to train and around 21 members of staff out of work. The incident was quickly followed by insolvency proceedings and staff being informed of redundancies. On January the 6th, members, parents and carers were informed that the club was to be wound down. Volunteer parents and gymnastic coaches responded quickly to the disappointing news and worked with Scottish Gymnastics, Business Gateway, Scottish Council for Voluntary Organisations, Community Enterprise Limited and local like-minded businesses, including Ninth Concept, West Lothian Gymnastics, One Mind Martial Arts and Avondale Gymnastics Club, to find solutions and support. They are now developing a plan for a sustainable new club called Elevate Acro, which will operate from multiple sites in West Lothian, while the club seeks official charity status and Scottish Gymnastics accreditation and work towards securing facilities of its own. A spokesman for Elevate Acro Gymnastics said, "The fire in December took an emotional toll on staff, gymnasts and their families, but we couldn't stand by and do nothing. For many of the gymnasts was their second home and second family. It was their safe place to be themselves, where they felt a sense of community and connection. Conscious of the shock and impact many people were experiencing after the fire and then the recent news of closure, we wanted to act quickly to help staff and gymnasts back to a positive future. Elevate Acro will help to ensure that acro gymnastics continues to be a core part of the sports community, both within West Lothian and its surrounding areas. A strong team and robust governance will be fundamental to achieving our vision to create an uplifting culture that inspires confidence, empowerment, meaningful connections and experiences for all through acro gymnastics. We look forward to sharing more details of our plans in the near future and hugely appreciate all the support we have received to get this far." Tracy Brown, Club Development Manager at Scottish Gymnastics, added, "This has been a tough time for those affected by the fire in December and subsequent closure of Astro. It is great to be involved now in supporting a group of passionate individuals who are working tirelessly to set up the new club and create opportunities for acrobatic gymnastics in West Lothian. The Elevate Acro team has been working with us from the start to ensure they have a strong governance and comply with operating and safe sports standards. I know they are keen to offer classes as soon as possible to allow gymnasts to enjoy gymnastics again. Abby and John Edmonston own One Mind Martial Arts in Polbeth, which will be one of the venues the gymnastics club will use, if approved, for use by Scottish Gymnastics. John says, as parents of a young gymnast and owners of a local business, we are excited to open our doors to the Elevate Acro team to provide a place for them to grow, learn and reach new heights together. To keep up to date with the latest information, please follow Elevate Acro on Facebook and Instagram or email info@elevateacro.co.uk to register your interest or offer any support to help the club get up and running. And that's the end of part 2. Welcome back, and to part 3, and we'll do the pub quiz straight away. And we've only got 6 questions today. I maybe did too many last time. Anyway, question number 1. Which country occupies the western part of the island of Hispaniola? Is it Cuba, the Dominican Republic, or Haiti? Question 2. Which arm of the Mediterranean Sea lies between Greece and Turkey? Is it the Aegean Sea, the Mediterranean Sea, or the Adriatic Sea? Question 3. Question 3. In which U.S. city is the Guggenheim Museum? Is it Los Angeles, New York, or Chicago? Question 4. Which British heavyweight boxer was the first to win 3 Lonsdale belts? Henry Cooper, Lennox Lewis, or Frank Bruno? Question 5. What name is given to the stiff, flat hat with a tassel worn by graduating students? Is it a mortarboard, a top hat, or a fedora? Question 6. How many ounces are there in an avoirdupois pound? Is it 22, 16, or 10? Now, I'll give you the answers to the questions in part 4. Welcome back to part 4, and we'll start part 4 with the answers to the pub quiz. Question 1. Which country occupies the western part of the island of Hispaniola? Cuba, Dominican Republic, or Haiti? And the answer is Haiti. Question 2. Which arm of the Mediterranean Sea lies between Greece and Turkey? Is it the Aegean Sea, Mediterranean Sea, or the Adriatic Sea? And it is the Aegean Sea. Question 3. In which U.S. city is the Guggenheim Museum? Los Angeles, New York, or Chicago? And the answer is New York. Question 4. Which British heavyweight boxer was the first to win 3 Lonsdale belts? Henry Cooper, Lennox Lewis, or Frank Bruno? And the answer is Henry Cooper. Question 5. What name is given to the stiff flat hat with a tassel worn by graduating students? Mortarboard, top hat, or fedora? And the answer is mortarboard. How many ounces are there in an avoirdupois pound? 22, 16, or 10? And your answer is 16. And if you knew that answer, you're too old. So we'll move on and we'll do another round of general news.
Dogs Trust issue latest advice. With the country facing a number of weather and flood warnings, Dogs Trust has issued its own warning and is advising owners to keep their pets away from floods and ice. Many dogs love to swim, but with the country experiencing freezing temperatures and heavy rainfall, they may find their usual bathing spot frozen or flooded. While it might be tempting to let them run on ice or swim in floodwater, Dogs Trust, which has a rehoming centre in West Calder, is warning that this could be dangerous for both dogs and owners alike. Ice may not be thick enough to take your dog's weight, and they could fall through into the freezing water underneath. Meanwhile, floodwater can contain toxins, which could be dangerous to your pet if swallowed, and submerged hazards such as broken glass may be lurking underneath the water. The charity strongly advises that if your dog does fall through ice or enter floodwater, you should never be tempted to go in after them. While it may be hard to resist the instinct to save your dog, the effects of cold water shock on people can be fatal. It can cause heart attacks, even in the relatively young and healthy, and the involuntary gas and panic caused by sudden immersion in cold water can increase the chance of inhaling water directly into your lungs. You could also inadvertently put your dog at more risk, as anyone who may be able to help, such as the fire service, will prioritise your rescue over the safety of your dog. Instead, encourage your dog to swim back to you, and if you need help in an emergency, call 999. Jenna Kiddy, head of canine behaviour at Dogstrass, said, "If your dog goes into the water, don't follow them, as this could lead to you requiring an emergency rescue and could cause you serious harm. In the event of an emergency, call 999.
Rent rise for temporary homes. West Lothian is to increase rents and service charges for those in temporary tenancies in a bid to cut spiralling costs caused by the surge in homelessness. The move will standardise rent charges and include service charges, which until now have been paid out of council funds. SNP councillors accused the Labour administration of unfairly targeting the most vulnerable in society and voted against the proposals. West Lothian currently faces a £1.5 million overspend on the budget for homeless provision. Most councils already impose service charges to those in temporary tenancies, but West Lothian does not. Benchmarking of other local authorities where the charges for temporary accommodation are known indicates that West Lothian's revised charge would rank 11th out of 20. The move standardises rent charges and introduces a service charge which includes furniture storage costs. The base service charge is £43.90 a week. The SNP raised an amendment to the proposal at the Executive which said increases in rental charges unfairly targets the most vulnerable in society. Councillor Willie Boyle told the meeting, "This is clearly a severe increase when people are at their most vulnerable. Not everyone will have these costs covered by housing benefit." He pointed out that many temporary tenancies were given to working people who had lost privately rented homes as landlords had deserted the private rental market in recent years. Councillors voted to approve the new charges. The report set out the proposed new framework which places all rents into a sliding scale of charges based on the property size and type. To date, the shortfall in meeting the costs for providing these services has been met by West Lothian Council budgets. However, this has led to significant budget pressures within the Housing Needs Service, as both homeless demand and the cost to meet this have increased. Housing officers said the changes will help to alleviate this pressure and ensure the continuation of homeless prevention and support activity, which has not been funded in the long term by the Scottish Government. The changes do not impact council housing rent levels, which are set via the council annual budget setting process.
House builders support string of local groups. School children in Bathgate and Livingston were amongst those who will benefit from a house builders' generous community initiative. Persimmon East Scotland donated £13,000 to local charities and community groups across the Lothians during the past year as part of its Community Champions initiative in 2024. The home builders supported 4 incredible organisations working to enhance community well-being. The School Bank West Lothian received £5,000 to provide school uniform packs for 35 to 40 children. Simpson Primary Parent Council in Bathgate received £3,000 to create additional needs and nurture spaces. And the Boghall Drop-In Centre, situated in the town's Marina Road, was also awarded £3,000 for its Christmas programme, offering a lifeline during the cost of living crisis. Neil Perry, Managing Director of Persimmon East, Scotland, said, "We're proud to have supported these incredible organisations, each making a real difference to lives across the Lothians. We encourage more local charities and groups to apply for support through our Community Champions initiative." And there's a lovely picture of some of the participants at the drop-in centre in Boghall.
Cops launch probe after doors tried. A police search has been launched for a West Lothian man who was allegedly trying house and car door handles in the early hours of a morning. Officers said the incidents took place between the hours of 1:48 a.m. and 1:58 a.m. on Monday, January the 13th, on Drumshoreland Road and James Young Avenue in Pumferson. A spokesman for West Lothian Police said between 1:48 and 1:58, a male has been trying house door handles and car doors within Drumshoreland Road and James Young Avenue. The white male is medium build, wearing a dark grey hooded top with a large icon on the front of this. He was wearing a woolly hat and light grey joggers and light coloured trainers. So be on your guard for leaving your door unattended, a wee bit open. We're come almost to the end of a recording, but as you know, Team 3 always have a poet's corner. So Ray will give us two of either his compositions or ones he's pinched. Over to you, Ray.
The first is mine, and it's called Time in Motion. It's winter first, and cold winds blow, with frequent showers of hail and snow. The ground is hard with frost below. Now comes the spring, the verdant time, with signs of growth. It is sublime when we perceive the warmer clime. The next is summer, skies are blue, trees are green, lush is the view, with flowers all of varied hue. Then autumn's here, with mellow fruit, squirrels rush to hide their loot, leaves red and gold obscure the route. Another year has passed us by, gone in the twinkling of an eye. And as we're fast approaching Burns Night, I'd like to read you out a well-known Burns poem, "My Love's Like a Red, Red Rose." Oh, my love's like a red, red rose that's newly sprung in June. Oh, my love's like the melody that's sweetly played in tune. As fair art thou, my bonny lass, so deep in love am I, and I will love thee still, my dear, till a' the seas gang dry. Till a' the seas gang dry, my dear, and the rocks melt with the sun, I will love thee still, my dear, while the sands of life shall run. And fare thee well, my only love, and fare thee well a while, and I will come again, my love, though 'twere 10,000 mile.
Thank you very much, Ray. We have now come to the end of this week's recording. We hope that you have enjoyed it. When you're finished listening to the recording, can you remind you to place the USB stick in the wallet, reverse the label so that the cutout corner is at the top right-hand side, and post it back to us as soon as possible. Remember, wallets should only be posted in a post box. Do not post them in a post office. So, it's goodbye from the members of our team, from
Nan,
Ray,
Caroline,
and from me, Jim, and not forgetting Andrew who's quietly sorting out our volumes. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.